Welcome to another episode of Story Time. Story Time, a story from Stumbling Upon Myself, where I let my hands explore images, create images. And maybe before I choose the story, I'll tell you a little bit about how these images come to be. So usually what I do is I think of a topic, a title, a subject. And the first thing I do is I draw that subject, the actual title of the subject. And it's almost like that's putting me into that space. It's taking me to that part of the dictionary, that area. Okay, the encyclopedia, the channeling encyclopedia. And then I just let myself draw, and sometimes words will come up, sometimes images will come up, sometimes it's just about drawing circles and lines, and I don't necessarily know what they're gonna be or how that's gonna unfold. I don't have a clear picture of the final result. I don't do sketches. I don't sort of try to map things out. I actually draw with a pencil. Then once I'm happy with that bit, whatever that is, first thing is a title, if it's centered, whatever, then I will go over it in ink before I do the next bit. So it really is a process of pencil, ink, pencil, ink, pencil, ink, pencil, ink, pencil, ink. And the composition gets constructed like that. And I never know what I'm going to end up having as an image. And sometimes some really, really weird things unfold. And I often refer to it as going on a bit of a journey in my mind, my subconscious mind, higher self. I don't know where I'm going, but I come back with a postcard. And when I can then look at that postcard, sometimes I discover stuff that I didn't realize, were there while I was drawing them. So it's like they're little messages coming through, insights that are just kind of fun to discover. So today's story. Okay, so I almost said something, but I didn't want to jinx it. As I was doing the intro, I was thinking of one specific image. And I was thinking, I wonder whether that's the one I'm going to get. But I thought, if I tell you what it is and then I don't get it, well, I'll probably look a little stupid. But guess what? Yes, I went, with it's the one out of the 88 pages in this book. This is the one that showed up. And I will come to the image because, as I was saying, sometimes things happen and things come up. And, well, this was typically the image where this happened. So the image is called The Cave. And anyone who knows about Joseph Campbell and his approach to the hero's journey, and he wrote a book called The Hero with 1,000 Faces, and I do have the quote. He said, "In the cave you fear to enter lies the treasure that you seek." And so when I drew this image of the cave, when I gave myself the title of the cave, I had that cave in mind. I thought, okay, let's go into that cave. Let's go into that scary place. Let's go into that scary place and see what we find in that, dark place we want to avoid all the time. Because if it is filled with treasures, maybe we need to go and see. It really is ironic. I love helping people, yet I never ask for help. Never. I was on a retreat in the south of Italy when I decided to walk down to the ocean, which was approximately 20 minutes away from the villa where we were staying. Although most of the path consisted of big and abrasive rocks, I had no problem navigating this terrain in my flip-flops. On this particular day, though, one of my flip-flops decided to break. I was halfway down the rocky path, and the prospect of navigating my way back to the villa in bare feet was daunting. I did have my mobile phone. I could easily have asked another participant if they could grab my trainers and bring them to my rescue. But I didn't. I walked back in my bare feet, wondering with every step if the next sharp rock would cut through the skin. My feet were so sore for several days, while I wondered why I had been so stubborn and refused to give a friend the opportunity to help me out. The only thing at the time that I could come up with was that I just didn't want to bother anyone. I didn't want to be a burden by imposing my problem onto someone else. But I don't think it's that simple. I rarely feel like I belonged somewhere, even if this retreat was full of loving and caring people. I did not belong there either. I'm not quite sure why I would tend to feel this way. I have a long list of reasons to choose from, and I think most of us do. Who doesn't have haunting memories that left us feeling unworthy of love, affection, or abundance of any kind? I think we're all imposters, walking among other imposters, trying to disguise our lack of ease. So rather than just offer help, I'm starting to embrace asking for it too. It requires showing up vulnerable and naked every once in a while, but I keep telling myself that this is the only way to do it. You see, I had a vision a few years ago of a naked and fragile woman slowly coming out of a cave. I guess this is my cue to start walking. So the image of the cave is quite complex, and I don't know if you can see behind, right in the middle, behind that sort of hole in the wall with the help in it, there is actually a monster. And the interesting thing was that I wrote down I want to scream help. Here, somewhere in the middle, I want to scream help. But I hear only silence. Now, when I wrote the word help, it wasn't sort of surrounded by anything. It was just written there, and I drew it. And then I wanted to give it a bit of a, like a wham bam type of star-shaped thing around it to make it pop out. But what I drew was a bit too awkward, and it wasn't wham bammy enough. It was just sort of like this rigid outline around the outside. So I thought, oh, it's not big enough, it's not wide enough. So I created another one around it, which is the second outline, right? And then I thought, oh, this doesn't work. It still doesn't look, like in those old cartoons. So then I started drawing lines that went from one to the other. I just started filling out the space. And as I filled out the space, the weird thing that happened was it's as though all of a sudden you had that 3D perspective effect. And it's as though there was a hole in the wall, right? All of a sudden, those rigidity outlines with the lines, it was like there was a thickness to them. And when I saw that, I thought, wow, I've just made a hole in the wall. I've just made a hole in the wall through my cave. And what became obvious is if I ask for help, I can leave the cave, right? The cave is not that dark place anymore. There is a hole and the sun can shine through. So this is what I mean by when I'm drawing and I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just sort of letting my hands do put lines and words and create things. And then I discover stuff. And it's very hard when that kind of thing happens to ignore the message. It's because there's so much to learn. So I would love to invite you to try and just let yourself be guided by your hand and doodle, draw stuff that's, whether they're words, whether they're little things that are just shapes. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to look good. It doesn't have to be something. But just to get a feel for how that looks and feels and what emotions are coming up and what sensations are coming up while you're doing it. I would be curious to see what comes up for you. I believe it's a really powerful thing, and if it's something that resonates with you, why not do it? If you want the image, it will be available on my website in the members area. It costs nothing to sign up. And there are other images there as well to download. You can print them and color them if you'd like. Or if you'd like the whole book with the stories in it, it is 20% off at the moment and up until the 24th of January. See you next time.